Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and War of Realms, Strikeforce, the Dark Elf Realms. There's going to be a couple of these Strikeforce books out, but this is the only one this week. Don't forget there's also War of Realms issue number 3 out this week, and don't forget there's also a War of Realms tie-in for the Champions, issue number 7, right? It's on the, no, 5, issue number 5, my bad. Anyway, Cyclops returns, so psst. Yeah, so make sure you check all that good stuff out. And no, Savage Avengers is not actually one of the War of Realms tie-ins. I actually thought it was myself. Anyway, so there's this book. We're going to get into a little bit of detail of the book itself. First, let's give credit where credit's due. Written by Brian Hill, pencils by Laniel Francis Yu, inked by Jerry Anna Alan Guilan. Hope I didn't destroy that name. Matt Hollingsworth does the colors, and VC's Joe Sabino on the letters. The cover artists are Laniel Francis Yu and Matt Hollingsworth. Variant cover by Rod Reese. All right. So we actually get the Punisher as this de facto leader of a team. Now, we already saw what the team is planning on doing in the War of Realms issue number 3. This book is sort of a prequel to it, and as a prequel, it can be read either before or after. It's perfectly fine, because the very last page on this, that's where you're going to see what they've already done and what they're about to do now. So you could read this book first. It wouldn't hurt at all to read this book first. Or you could just wait like I did and, read War of Realms first. War of Realms issue 3 first, and then go on to this. It's not going to hurt either way. And I like that about these kinds of books. Let's actually look through this book a little bit here. The beginning of this book had the formation of the team, which is crucial. That's very important. After that, there was kind of a team building exercise. Well, first off, there was what's her name, She-Hulk, as Jennifer Walters talking to the rest of the crew. There were some funny scenes in here, like her conversation with Blade, which was way too short, but a lot of these were fairly useless. Just to get a couple little laughs in and things like that. There wasn't really much there. After that, however, we get something that it's pointless, and it's not something that I would ever do as a team leader in the military. Granted, I would make a crappy leader, and I have no problems admitting that. What do you call it? But yeah, if I were a team leader of some sort, in fact, I was a team leader. Anyway, you wouldn't want to test your people, especially if you're already a god. It indicates that you don't have the omniscience that we mortals believe that you are. It's kind of like, and I imagine a lot of people are thinking right now, walking up to Gozer or whatever, talking about, are you a god? No. Then next time someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. So like in here, very similarly, it doesn't actually come back to haunt her yet. I kind of hope it does. I don't think it will, though. It was just kind of brushed off that she is talking about prescience and seeing into the future and smelling the future, like smelling roses. And it was a really great line that repeated a couple times in here. I loved that. But if she can't see the future, then she's not all-powerful. She's not a god. And more than that, she got her ass beat, too. So there's that. Like this would have happened to Odin. Even if he was about to go into the freaking Odin sleep, he was not about to be jacked up. You know what I'm saying? So as powerful as everybody else has been making Lady Freya just flying around on hammers, because why not? This is a more grounded version where she is extremely powerful. Here she doesn't seem as powerful, though, but she can be beaten, and that's, yeah, it's weird, but I'm okay with it. Anyway, while this was not a great idea as a leader of some sort or to prove your divinity, it was still really fun. This exercise where they had to face their own demons. It may take a little longer to understand what happened with Frank Castle, but when you get it, it's good. And if you don't get it, don't worry. Frank Castle himself will explain it to Blade a little bit later on in the comic book. It just reinforces what you already know. After that, you wind up getting couple more parts in here, and the most important part is Lady Freya talking to Frank Castle alone. Now, here's what this did for me. There is so much focus on Frank Castle in these books. In all of these War of Realms books, think about it. You get a short story, and the coolest one involves Frank Castle. This issue, although it's a whole Strikeforce, and no, I don't. There's not going to be an issue 2 of this. This is a one-shot tie-in. That's all it is. There is no issue 2 of Strikeforce, the Dark Elf Realm. Yeah, there is no more of those. There'll be 2 more Strikeforce books, but it'll be the other 2 teams. What do you call Land of Giants and War Party? I don't know, something like that. But there's a lot going on with Frank Castle. In fact, Frank Castle is going to have his own particular tie-ins for this War of the Realms. That is interesting. All of this Frank Castle focus, I get the very distinct feeling that something life-changing is going to happen to Frank. Let's just put it that way. And it makes me sad because she was talking about prescience a lot. And while she seems to indicate that she's talking about herself, it's peculiar that she wants to talk to Frank more than anything else. There's also a really cool line in here about him being accepted by Asgard, honored in Asgard, and he's impressed by that. He's like, oh, imagine that. Well, yeah, duh. I mean, did anybody else read Donny Cates's thing with him going to, as Cosmic Ghost Rider, going to Valhalla? Yeah. Granted, Odin didn't want him to stay for long. But yeah, this was a really good comic book. I enjoyed even the parts that I wouldn't approve of in real life. They still turned out to be really good in here. The parts in here where I thought, yeah, a lot of this is fluff, it was still made to be, I don't know, like marshmallow fluffy, like the Peeps, the little Easter Peeps. It's like, they're freaky, and it's like, oh man, you get this every year, but you're gonna eat it. So this was a good book. I definitely enjoyed this. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.